previously in this conversation, you mentioned you are dating someone.
Yes.
Where are you at with this person? Are you considered? Is it just strictly dating, or are there titles between you two at this point, or what?
So there's not a title. We've even discussed, which at first I kind of took it offensive what he said, but then it's actually what I would want and I thought about before. And he basically said that he didn't want to do like the boyfriend girlfriend thing. It's either you're dating or you get married. And at first I'm like, wait, excuse me? But then I started thinking back about a Joyce Meyer sermon that I heard. And she said the problem with dating nowadays is that people want to act like they're married. So what does it leave for marriage? So like in hindsight, I really appreciate him saying that because there's been so many times where you're in relationships and the other person isn't honest. And he seems to be a really honest individual. So I'm enjoying like just dating him and then feeling like I'm able to do what I want since we're not married, you know? So it's actually pretty refreshing. And I think that more people should live by it, which they don't. They want to be like, oh, you're mine. Like, don't go nowhere. Don't do nothing. And then, of course, that's where all the lies come in.
So even though you're quote unquote dating,
Mm-hmm.
are you two exclusive with one another, or is there room for other people to be in either of your lives?
So there is room for other people, but it seems more so of that we have both making a choice to not really give anybody else the time or opportunity just because we have a connection like that. So it's more so by choice rather than obligation, which it's actually nicer.
Now, is this relationship that you're in now with this person, is this something that you've been private about or public about?
So more recently, I've been public about it. I never post when I'm dating somebody. So this relationship, gosh, in the past 6 years is the first one that I've even posted about. But we still keep pretty much everything private other than a couple little photos.
Well, because it is public, care to share who this person is that we're speaking of?
Mm-hmm. So it's funny because a lot of people don't even know his name because he has like a weird Instagram handle. It says SVG P Gang because he's known as Mr. P Gang. But his name is Corey. And unless you stalk my Instagram comments, then nobody even knows that his name is Corey.
And occupation-wise, what does he do or what is he known for?
He's known for cars and sneakers. So yeah, he's got over 1,000 pair of sneakers. He's got a bunch of high-end cars, and then his whole, like his, I guess all of his close friends and his best friend, they own car shops up in New York. So it's all about like rallies, charity, and just expensive luxury cars.
Now, when it comes to people you've been in relationships with in the past, one of them's been Julio Jones. We've talked about that previously. You dated him on and off. And he's an athlete. He's a football player, an NFL football player at that, one of the stars of the Atlanta Falcons for a time in his career. But what other types of occupations of people have you been in, maybe longer terms, relationship-wise?
I would say,
You've been with an athlete,
yeah.
obviously.
I've been with a few football players, and then the most recent one was actually an attorney, which is not usually what I date whatsoever. And we clashed a lot because he's very like suit and tie type of person. And I mean, I'm classy, but I'm a little ratchet. So I'm like classy ratchet. So it's way different. And our personalities just did not go together, even though, it was weird. But then before, like years ago, I would date like street guys. And then when one was like in and out of prison, I was like, you know what? This ain't the life for me. Like, I don't want you to just be gone tomorrow. So, yeah.
What about a recording artist?
No. And it's crazy because a couple of them that are pretty big ask me on dates, and I'm always like, no, I don't date famous people.
You really don't?
Not really. No. And I've actually kind of like stayed away from them. It's like football, they're known in a different way. They're not in the industry.
Um, is that because you've had a bad experience with a famous person in the past? Or why that protocol or that rule for you or policy?
I don't know, and it's kind of backwards because I wouldn't want somebody to not want to date me because of what I do as an occupation. So I'm not sure why I've always kind of been like that. It's almost like it's always been a red flag to me. I don't know why.
Have you ever dated a quote unquote famous person?
Um, yeah, yeah. I'm not gonna say his name, but yeah.
So this policy you have happened after dating that person that you have in mind?
No, it actually was way before. So I never really officially dated this guy. Like we've talked, we've been friends over the years, like friends with benefits. But as far as boyfriend and girlfriend, no.
Okay, so out of all these different occupations you named, it sounds like athletes more or less has been a staple romantically for you.
Yeah, either street guys or athletes. Yeah.
Would you say more athletes than street guys or more street guys than athletes overall speaking?
I say we almost at 50-50.
Okay. Well, I do have a question because there may be somebody watching this that has no idea what it's like, so curious here. What is dating an athlete really like?
So, I mean, I don't know. I guess you would think it's like some magical being different. Like, no, it's not. Like, they have nicer houses than most people. And I like that they're big, tall, like muscular. But other than, I don't know, I guess if you find the right one, they're fairly normal. So it's not really a difference more so than the way they look. And the guy that I'm dating now, he's built like an athlete. Like he's 6'4", 250 pounds. So he fits the look even though he isn't one. So he's just equally the same as them, other than, of course, not on Sundays getting beat up and sore for a couple days.
When it comes to an athlete, any pros and cons when it comes to dating an athlete?
Oh, I dated this one who he was a little wild. And, now that he is retired, he even says that he feels the NFL was more so a curse because he felt like he was God. He could have anything he wanted, whatever women he wanted. He had more than enough money, get on a private plane, go wherever when he wanted to. So it more so, he got sucked into a life that was very negative based on how he was. So, yeah. The other two I say were positive experiences with the NFL, but I mean, it could go either way.
What did you wish you knew before dating an athlete, if anything?
So I would say that it's crazy because one mentioned to me that, like, oh, I've never dated a white woman before. So he said he felt like a little intimidated or nervous around me. And I just thought it was like the craziest thing, and I kind of laughed at him. But in reality, I felt a little intimidated that he was this pro NFL player and so many people looked up to him and he did make so much money. So I feel like I almost pushed him away. Like most girls would have been like, oh my God, I want to be with him. I want to marry him. And I did the exact opposite. I kind of pushed him away because in reality, looking back, I was kind of scared of that situation. But doing it all differently, then I would treat that person just as a normal human being because that's the way they are. And I've always been treated differently in relationships. So it's crazy that I did the exact same thing to some of them as what happens to me to this very day.
And just for clarification, what race or ethnicity or nationality was he?
They were all black. The football players were black.
Now, when it comes to athletes, my last question, anything else you want to mention about dating an athlete or question I didn't ask people want to know?
I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, it is kind of exciting. It's nice to date somebody that people respect and look up to, And, with a guy that I'm dating, they feel the same way. They see people like, oh my God, Sarah, this and that. So it's almost seeing them do it. It's kind of like nice, and it's it's just a different feeling seeing them smile or get excited when somebody's happy to meet them. So it's just, I guess, a surreal feeling. Even like with me, I don't think it's something you ever really get used to, even though it could happen like on a daily basis.
And for time reference, it's October 2021 now. Oh, when it came to the athletes, um, I know you haven't had any kids at this point where you're at with your age. We've talked about that previously. But when it came to any of these athletes that you dated, uh, were you ever engaged to any of them? Was marriage a possibility with any of them, or it never got that far in any of those relationships?
So the first one, we eventually did talk about having kids, and then things, we just went our separate ways. The second one, he kind of like made me nervous because he wanted to basically be together, boyfriend, girlfriend, like on day two, and then move to engagement to marriage. And then when I told him no, he went and got married a few months later. I'm like, wait, what is happening? He even got a divorce like 6 months after that. Then he comes back. I'm like, no, you're a little bit crazy. Like, I'm not going to marry you. And then the third one, he's older and he's retired. So we've talked about boyfriend, girlfriend with possibility of being married with a child within a year. But then, I don't know, it just didn't seem right. Plus, the age gap makes me nervous as well because my grandma married my grandpa who was 18 years older. So a lot of her life she was taking care of him, and then he passed away and she had to live all these years with him. So that's always been in my mind that like I want to enjoy having children with somebody and not just taking care of kids and then taking care of my old husband and then him be gone. So with the three of them, it could have easily progressed to something else, but just timing wise, it never happened.
I know we've talked about abortion in the past, and one of the abortions you had was a health issue. Was any of these with these athletes or no?
No.
Okay.